Hi, I'm Ashley from Sunny Made, and today we are going to make flying geese. Hi, welcome back. I am so excited that you guys are here. We are on month 1, week 2. Last week I taught you how to make 2 at a time half square triangles. How did that go? Like, do you have any questions? If you do, please leave a message in the comment section below or on the blog. So either way, I would love to answer your questions. Today, we're moving on to our next part of our block, and we are going to make flying geese. This is a very basic flying geese pattern. It's actually a stitch and flip type of pattern. We use this a lot. You could do stitch and flip on several different things, but today we are going to use make flying geese. So a flying geese, let me show you what they look like. Okay, you have a point. There's 2 here, 2 colors, and a point. And this is what ours are gonna look like. So in order for us to do that, you need background fabric. This is 3.5 by 6.5, and this is our finished size. This is what we want it to be at the end. And then you need 2 squares that are 3.5 by 3.5 square. Okay, we're gonna take our 2 squares. Oh, and when we get done with this, we will have 1 flying geese. So I need you to make 4 of them, but we'll get to that. Okay, so you're gonna take your 2 colored squares and you are going to, I panicked there for a second, couldn't find my pen. You are going to take them and you are gonna draw a line diagonally, corner to corner on both of them. I didn't do that very good. That's okay. Okay, you take your first one, and because we're making a V, we want it to go corner to corner this way. Okay? Then you are going to sew right along the line. We're not a 1/4 inch like last week, right along the line. And if you want to do it a little bit off, it's going to be the side towards the corner. Okay? And that's what we have here. It is sewn. Okay? Now, we're going to take it and we're going to fold it back so that the edges are lining up. I'm gonna do a close-up, so stick around. I promise you'll be able to see top view. And you're gonna fold it back so that the lines are lining up with the white piece in the back. And you're gonna just finger press it. And that's gonna give you a nice, crisp line. And then I'm gonna come over here with my iron and iron it. So now we have a nice straight line and the edges should all line up. We'll open it back up and cut it a 1/4 inch from that stitch line. So now it looks like this when it's opened, looks like this when it's closed, I guess, and it looks like this when it's open. So we have half of our flying geese. You're gonna take your other one, stick it on there. I should have brought some pins. That would have been helpful. Okay, I put it on, and this time it goes this way because we're creating that point, that triangle look. And then you're gonna sew right along that line on it. Okay, you have it here. Got it all done for you. Once again, we're gonna fold it back so that the edges are lining up with that white edge. Okay, let me iron this real quick. Okay, a few tips right now. If it says to iron, iron it, okay? You want to iron it at every step so that it's all laying flat. And some people even like to starch it and iron it. Next, just a little watch out for. Don't put your, so this is a wool mat. I can put it on any surface. Don't put it on top of your cutting mat and then iron. I have a warped cutting mat because I wasn't paying attention and now it's all completely warped. This isn't it. This one is just, it's new and it came to me all rolled up, and so I'm still trying to get it nice and flat. So this isn't my warped one. I have a warped one because I was ironing on top of my cutting mat. So just nice and hot, steam. I use a steam on everything. And okay, so once that gets folded back and I make a nice, neat, I've ironed it. I open it back up. I use my straight line. We're just going corner to corner right down that sewing line. And we're gonna trim it off, okay? Here's it closed. We trimmed off that piece and here it is open. Okay, here are your finished product. Now, it should measure 3.5, get it so you can see it, 3.5 by 6.5. If it doesn't, I have a 6.5 inch square. You can use anything that's bigger because you want it to be at least 6.5 inches. This one's really nice for this exact size. Line it up across the top of your white because that should be straight still. And if it's not, trim it so it's 3.5 by 6.5. All right, let's take a closer look at this. Here is your rectangle, 3.5 by 6.5. And here are your two squares. These are 3.5 inch squares. Okay, we're gonna take our squares, turn them over, and draw a diagonal line corner to corner. Okay, next we're gonna place one of these triangle or squares on our fabric, and we're going to stitch right along this side of the line. Okay, here it is, here, stitched right across that line. Now, our finished size is gonna be 6.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So we want to make this perfectly square. What we're gonna do first is fold this back so it lines right up with the edges of this rectangle. And I'm just gonna finger press that right now. I will press it for reals here in a second. Okay, so once we have this folded along the edges, we're gonna open it back up. We're gonna take our ruler. This is, see the line here? There's a 1/4 inch. I'm just gonna go from corner to corner and run my cutter. Oops, that didn't go so well. There we go, right along that edge. So when we open it, we have our first side of the Flying Geese. Then we're gonna take our next square and we're gonna do it opposite. What this is gonna do is it's gonna form a V. That's the Flying Geese. Okay, it has the line. We're gonna stitch right down the outside edge of this line that puts it towards the corner. Okay, Here it's stitched. Once again, we're gonna fold this back. If I can grab it with my fingers. And we're gonna make sure that it folds right along the edge of that white. Okay. Press it flat. Then we're gonna open it back up. Grab our cutter. Grab our rotary cutter and our trim tool. Okay. And trim that off. And here you have a nice flying geese. And if you look at it, this is a 6.5 inch. It should be pretty spot on. If you needed to do any trimming, what you do is you line it up against the top edge. And I noticed that mine kind of sticks out a little bit right here. I think I have a chip in my cutter. So I need to go through and get me a new blade. So there is your finished piece. Okay, now that you know how to do this, we are going to make these into a star. And that's what we're gonna put our half square triangles in the middle, and then we're gonna put our flying geese around it so it looks like a star. Kind of like, see how this point is right here? That's what we're doing with these. So you need 4 of these. Go try it out. If you have any questions, please, please, please ask, and I will get you covered. The biggest thing, just make sure that everything is a big thing, right? The more precise you sew, the more precise you cut, and the more that you iron and trim, the more precise your final block is going to be. Remember, we are using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so really you only need it a 1/4 inch from the edge. That's where we're sewing. Of course, this one, we're going down the line. So we're actually trimming it. Okay, if you have any questions, please, please, please ask them. Next week is our tip week. Week 3 of each month is a tip. So I am going to I was going to talk to you about ironing, and even though I think ironing is really important, I'm going to actually go over a few tips for trimming, specifically our half square triangles. So if you haven't trimmed them yet, you may want to wait and watch that video, and then trimming in general. And I will go over flying geese as well, on how to trim flying geese. These ones you shouldn't have to trim unless you're like a tiny, tiny bit off. But I will show you how to trim down a flying geese as well. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next week.